Hello, hello. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to another installment of Optimizing Your Financial World. I'm your host and moderator, Ryan Ruff. We've got Mark Wade, president of Echelon Family Office, standing by. He'll be joining me momentarily. But look, first and foremost, got to take a second to thank you for finding your way back to the show. As many of you know already, Mark and I, we unpack different wealth management related topics each episode. We've hit a lot on family wealth in the last two episodes surrounding preparing heirs for inheritance. We dove into the family constitution in our last episode. Today, we're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to get out of the family wealth dynamic, but we're going to get into kind of shall we say, a topic that's not as exciting to most, but I will say there's a lot of value here. Mark's bringing nearly 4 decades of experience to this show. And trust me, there's value in this strategy we're going to be talking about today. He's going to unpack it for us, show us why, it has some benefits that, can be overlooked in some instances. And then, of course, how that might be able to be applied to your own financial well-being. So what I'm talking about today is life insurance. It's a topic, again, of course, it doesn't draw the same type of excitement that maybe the investment, management does, but it's actually one of the most flexible and versatile tools that we can have within our wealth management portfolio. And luckily, we've got Mr. Mark Wade to walk us through why that is. So, hey, Mark, good to see you. Welcome aboard the show.
Great to see you today, Ryan. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Mark, always a good time to have you on this show. And look, I'm looking forward to today's discussion because we're getting away from the family wealth dynamic that we've covered in the last 2 episodes. But I like this one a lot today because, life insurance, yes, it's not the most exciting of topics, but there's real value here. And I want to get into that today. So you're a firm believer here, Mark, that life insurance should be a key part of most people's wealth plan. Why is that exactly?
Absolutely, Ryan. And, when you look at life insurance and why it's really so important, you've got to look at the big picture, right? So the big picture is wealth planning. Life insurance, it doesn't exist all by itself. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. Okay. It can impact so many different aspects of your financial life, which is why we have to view it not isolated all by itself, but as a component of your broader plan to manage your wealth. Wealth planning, it's really meant, to address a multitude of financial concerns. And, given the versatility that life insurance has, it's often a major component of most of our clients' planning efforts. And it's done not only by the affluent, but, maybe they're not so affluent too. But, what's important is you really have to have a skilled advisor because, it's not the only solution that you likely need, as some people might have you think, okay, but it can play an extremely important role in helping you achieve your family goals.
Sure. Mark, you and I have touched on this show before, just the importance of having a trusted wealth planner, a trusted wealth advisor to walk you through the various, facets that exist in this world. Mark, you do it on a regular basis for your clients at Echelon Family Office. And I'd love to kind of pick your brain a little further on this matter as to, can we have you talk about really just the importance of wealth planning and developing that big picture idea for your wealth plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to achieve most of your personal and financial goals, you're likely going to need to engage in wealth planning, which at its core is a comprehensive planning process, and it's designed to address all the different moving parts of your financial and legal world, right? Especially the complex and sometimes the thorny ones.
Sure.
Really effective wealth planning incorporates state-of-the-art technical expertise and high-level legal strategies along with the financial products. And the trick is to try to get them all to work together in a synergistic manner. And based on that, the real key element around your specific situation is this wealth planning. Without a global plan to bring all these pieces together, it's almost impossible to do. So in other words, it's very tailored and it's very customized to the individual.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you, Mark, here is that the focus really in wealth management is on the person and not the products that exist, correct?
Yes, Ryan, absolutely. In other words, the aspect of wealth planning that really differentiates it from less comprehensive planning is what we call, hold on to your seat because it's not the first time you've heard this, the human element. Okay, and as we've discussed many times before, that human elephant means, you, the client, takes center stage in the process. Okay, and any technically brilliant solutions that any of the players should come up with, on behalf of you, the client, are carefully arranged and are carefully deployed around your specific situation. So really, the bottom line is wealth planning is done right, is really grounded in what you want. It's what the family wants to achieve and what you need. So, including what you want and what you need in the process. That's the core of really where wealth planning begins. And most people, they care about their family. And so we weave in what your intentions and what your desires are for your family. And important along those lines are the legal strategies, are work tantamount. They work together with the legal solutions, although they're never the main focus. The main focus, Ryan, is you, the client.
So that being said, given how comprehensive of an approach wealth planning as a whole really is, Mark, are there any, telltale signs or indicators that, somebody can identify to say, hey, maybe it's time that I engage a wealth advisor or wealth manager to go through this process and say, maybe it's worth taking this next step?
Well, yeah. And you can evaluate whether or not you need wealth planning by asking yourself a few simple questions. And although they seem simple on the surface, they're really very critical in determining to what degree and to what level you need wealth planning. And the first one really comes down to, uh, even though, and again, in its simplest form, do you want to make certain financial changes to the financial welfare for your loved ones and the causes that you care about? Do you want to make changes to make sure that your loved ones and your family are properly taken care of? Number one. Another one that's really good to ask yourself, do you want to be confident? Do you want the confidence that you have the wealth you're going to need, whether it's for your business or for retirement? Okay. If you should live well into your 90s, and I'm being told nowadays 100 years old is not out of the question. Okay. And then another question that some people oftentimes don't think about, do you want to ensure that if you own a business, if you're part of a business, that your business thrives if you should lose a key person in that business, or if your partner dies? How are you going to handle that economically and legally? Do you have all the pieces in place? So if you can answer yes to any of these questions, that's a concern to me. That's a good indication you need to do wealth planning.
Yeah, Mark. So I really do appreciate you kind of sharing those questions with us. And yes, while they are a little high level on the surface, there is a lot that gets you thinking when it comes, to the answers to each of those questions. But hey, today's episode really, we have a big focus on life insurance here, but it helps to set the scene on the need for wealth planning as a whole. So let's get back to life insurance here. Walk me through this part that it plays with wealth planning.
Ryan, the first thing I would say is the people need to understand that life insurance is just another tool in the toolbox. So, like that highly recognizable tool, the Swiss Army life, the life insurance can serve multiple purposes and get multiple jobs done for you. That's not to say that life insurance is some kind of magic bullet and it solves all your financial related matters, because it really doesn't. It's just a tool to use for a variety of different jobs. It has potential that it can be significantly effective and a very formidable tool when you use it as part of your wealth planning. One with enough versatility, and it can serve a powerful role under a variety of circumstances.
Mark, I love that analogy with the Swiss Army knife. It really is a versatile tool. So, Mark, in your conversations then with clients, how do you highlight life insurance to ultimately show how versatile it really is when you're having these discussions with clients?
Well, as I mentioned, it can do many things and under different circumstances for different families. But in general, let me narrow it down to three. Okay, so the first I would say would be liquidity. So upon the death of the insured, that life insurance policy automatically converts into cash because there are going to be bills to pay. There are going to be debts to settle. And so that life insurance provides that immediate liquidity. The other thing is leverage. So with respect to most successful entrepreneurs and business owners, right, the relationship between the premium dollars they pay and the insurance proceeds that their beneficiaries are going to receive, it often favors the insured. In other words, I'm saying for a little bit of money, for a little bit of premium dollars expended, the death benefits can oftentimes be enormous. It creates a pool of money that you can access properly on a tax-free basis to use for various different things that pop up in the normal course of life, or for unexpected business needs. And then certainly presuming that life insurance has been properly structured and adjusted, and that's critical. You can have the finest life insurance policy from a AAA rated company in the world, but if it's not owned properly, if the beneficiary designations don't match what the estate planning documents say, if it's not paid for properly, it could be a terrible transaction. So, presuming that all the life insurance has been properly structured and adjusted, and its use has been refined, then the expected benefits will be there when you want them. And oftentimes those benefits will be there tax-free.
So Mark, yeah, given all that flexibility, man, with liquidity, leverage, and then you had just mentioned certainty, I can imagine there's a handful of goals then that life insurance can help somebody achieve. So given that level of flexibility, what are those goals that life insurance can help somebody achieve?
Ryan, very often life insurance is the most assured and cost-effective way for you to provide these three things, right? You can provide for your loved one and the causes that you care about. You can provide cash to address personal needs and wants in the future, and you can provide money, that's required to address critical business concerns. Those three very important things.
Yeah, Mark, I want to get into each one of them because I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. Let's dive into them. Could you, show us how, yes, this first one, providing for your loved ones and the causes that you care about, walk us through how life insurance plays with this one, and then carry us through those next two.
Absolutely. Not everyone realizes that they need life insurance, right? Thinking and talking about your own death is not a really comforting thing to do. Okay. And for a lot of people, it's they find it very disconcerting. In some cases, people buy life insurance to build an estate to start with. So they're looking to make sure their loved ones are going to be financially protected, the way that they want them to be. And they use life insurance to that end to create an estate for them at the end, to create this large sum of money, then that can be managed for the benefit of their heir, the insured's heirs. An example, let's take an entrepreneur that's got his wealth tied up in a business, for example. This happens all the time. I see it all the time, Ryan. So when one of the business owners passes away, it may be that your family doesn't have the money to continue to run that business until the business is sold, or maybe it's sold under forced conditions to pay the bills. So a premature death, obviously, besides being devastated to the family, the life insurance proceeds can also be used to create wealth to settle any debts at the deceased's demise. Another issue that crops up in this category is if you want to transfer your wealth in equal amounts to your various heirs. We call this estate equalization. So say, for example, you have two children, and one of them's in the business and is quite active in running the business, and the other one is not. The other one is a professional doing something else. And at the demise of the insured, it would be the insured's intent that the child working in the business should receive the companies, in as much as they run it now, and they can hopefully cause it to grow during his lifetime. So, but how do you make the other child whole? Well, that life insurance could create that pot of money so that one child gets the business and the other child gets the cash. So you could then give the company to the child who runs the business and give the life insurance proceeds to the child who's not in the business. So, well, that's one way, or a couple ways to use it. And then, another way is, life insurance can be used to support the charities that you care about. Everyone has those special causes and things that are close to their heart that they want to make a meaningful difference for. So, a charity can be a beneficiary or a partial beneficiary of a life insurance policy. So if you use certain types of charitable trusts, which we use all the time, you might want to incorporate a life insurance policy into that strategy so that while you may give assets to a charity when you pass away, your family gets made whole with the proceeds from the life insurance policy. So it's everybody wins in that case, except unfortunately the deceased person.
Sure, sure. Mark, I really appreciate you kind of giving us those examples and that high level overview on how life insurance can obviously impact your loved ones and the causes you care about, because I feel like this is what most people view of life insurance and how it can really benefit people. So I want to get into these other two avenues that you had mentioned to us. So could you kind of walk me through that second benefit that you mentioned earlier and how life insurance can be used to help really provide you with the cash to deal with a future need? Walk me through this.
Yes. Another key reason life insurance can be such a really a versatile wealth planning tool, extremely effective wealth planning tool, is that some policies have what's called what we refer to as the cash account. Okay, that's the portion of the premiums that are contributed to the account, and those funds grow tax deferred. Over time, that tax deferred compounding can grow a significant balance in those accounts. So the ability for the money in the cash account to grow without the drag of taxes is extremely powerful. So those monies grow on a tax deferred basis. They're not taxed each and every year. So that can potentially result in a substantially greater amount of money than might accrue in a taxable investment account. On top of all of that, you may be able to withdraw that money and not be taxed on it also. Because if you withdraw the money in the proper ways, and it depends how you structure that policy and how it's paid for, you may be able to use that money and not pay taxes on it when you withdraw it.
Man, that's a big one right there. So appreciate you sharing that. I mean, yes, life insurance, it can be used as you just laid out for us to address a future need for yourself. Most people aren't identifying life insurance policies as a means to be able to do this kind of thing. So appreciate you sharing that one with us. Let's move to that final one, Mark. You had mentioned how life insurance can really be used to address a business concern if you're an entrepreneur. Walk us through this.
Sure. If you're a business owner, you may have a key employee in your company who's very important to the success of the company. Let's say maybe a top salesperson. Okay. If he or she were to prematurely pass away, right? How would your company suffer? Would you be in a significant disadvantage for the loss of your top salesperson? So one of the ways to effectively deal with that is the company could purchase insurance on you and the key employee. This would give the business the capital it needed to keep going in the wake of that death, as well as time for you to find a suitable replacement. Or let's say you have equal partners in the business, okay, and one of them dies. Okay, so maybe there's 2 or 3 partners in the business, and you don't want to be in the business with his or her heirs. A strategy that is known as a buy-sell agreement, can help you avoid that predicament. And by setting out the valuation method of the company in advance, how this company will be valued at one of the partners' demise, and the life insurance could provide the pool of money necessary to pay that partner's family, so that you then purchase the stock from the deceased partner. That family gets the money, you get the stock, so your family can go on to run the business in the manner in which that you really want to. So life insurance can be an extremely important part of the continual ability of your company to operate in the way that you want it to run. It can also be a source of some tax deferred compensation for key employees too. And we call that key employee insurance or non-qualified deferred compensation, along with an individual's qualified deferred compensation, like 401ks and 403bs, 457cs, all the 401 or the four programs that fall under ERISA.
Sure.
So it can be an additional program where you're able to provide additional deferred compensation to a key employee.
Man, Mark, I mean, 3 massive avenues, that you've laid out for us and how life insurance can really help solve, an issue. It can provide for the loved ones and the causes that you care about. You had mentioned to us that it can help, address a future need. And then this last one that you just hit on, to address a business concern as a business owner. I mean, man, there's a lot in this conversation, a lot of benefits, with life insurance as a whole. So Mark, if anybody's out there watching, listening to this episode, they're hearing the benefits of life insurance, maybe they want to continue the conversation with you and your team at Echelon Family Office, how should they go about reaching out to you guys to maybe get some more questions of theirs answered on this front?
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. So you can reach us through our website, echelonwealth.com. That's ECHELON, the word wealth.com. You could email me directly at mwade, that's MWADE, at echelonwealth.com, or you could call our office directly at 888-892-9882.
Awesome. Well, hey, Mark, look, we really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to walk us through the benefits of life insurance throughout wealth planning as a whole. And I'm looking forward to jumping aboard with you for our next episode down the road.
Great, Ryan. Great session today. I look forward to next time. Have a great day.
All righty. Appreciate it, Mark. And hey, look, we want to take one final moment, as always, to thank you, our audience, for jumping aboard with us today. As always, remember, if you liked what you saw today, you liked what you heard, please like the content, comment on the content, subscribe to it, share this information with friends and family, because these are ultimately strategies, insights into wealth management, wealth planning. Today, it was life insurance that could ultimately benefit you and help optimize your own financial world. So for Mark Wade, I'm Ryan Ruff. We're saying so long today, and we will see you next time on Optimizing Your Financial World.